You ever stand on top of a concrete dam, soaked through, hands locked on a rusted wheel, rain stinging your face, and realize the whole valley below you used to belong to your family? Yeah, that was me, cold, shivering, staring down at a fresh-painted neighborhood I never agreed to. Brand new homes sparkling under streetlights, stretching across the place where my father taught me to plant trees, where my grandfather caught his first fish, now claimed by people who had never set foot here until the dirt was cheap enough for their fancy shoes. And in that one gut punch moment, with water roaring behind me and the storm pressing in, I swear I could feel my heartbeat rattling my teeth. I wasn't just angry, I was something deeper. Something I'd never felt before. Right there in the thick of it, the HOA president, Mr. Granger, stood with a stupid umbrella like he was the king of the world, never looking up, just barking orders as if this whole mess was a minor inconvenience. Below me, 109 perfect homes, neat green lawns, and somewhere behind them, the old dam, my dam, the one they never asked about, the one holding back millions of gallons, the only reason their perfect little world hadn't washed away yet. When I turned the wheel, the metal groaned deep in the concrete, the sound echoing through the valley like a warning nobody understood. Then the water started, slow at first, trickling out like a snake waking up, and in one sudden rush, a wall exploded from the opening, tearing across lawns, swallowing sidewalks, cars bobbing like rubber ducks, and people running in circles, clipboards flying, voices rising up through the storm. I watched all of it in silence, and just before the biggest wave hit Mr. Granger finally looked up. I can still see the look on his face, shock, fear, and maybe, just maybe, a flicker of something like regret. But I didn't smile, didn't shout, didn't hide. I just watched the water do what it was always going to do. Now, before you go thinking I'm some kind of villain or hero, depending on who's telling the story, let me back up a sec. The truth is, this started long before the water. Long before I ever had to teach anybody a lesson about respect, or patience, or just plain listening. Name's Thomas, but folks in town call me Old Tom, which is funny, because I'm not half as old as they make me out to be. I grew up in this valley. I built the dam with my own 2 hands, not for power, but to keep the lower fields from flooding. Years went by, just me and my dog Willow, and the kind of peace you can only find where the grass talks to the wind and the crickets own the night. I never wanted much. Just the land, and the quiet, and maybe a little bit of respect. Then came the flags, orange, blue, and red cloth staked in my soil like little declarations of war. First I thought it was town workers checking utilities or something. Then I saw the trucks, big, noisy, kicking up dust, loaded with beams and lumber. Men in vests and hard hats strolled around like they owned the place. And then the sign went up, future site of Hawkridge Community. 109 luxury homes. Managed by Hawkridge HOA. I thought I was hallucinating. I hadn't sold an inch. Didn't sign a thing. Hadn't even gotten a phone call. When I asked the first worker what was going on, he just shrugged, told me to ask the HOA, like I was the one who didn't belong. That's when I met Granger, the man himself, in an office that smelled like lemon polish and denial. "We have full approval," he said, waving a stack of paperwork that didn't have my name anywhere. "From the community board," he insisted. "But I own the land," I said. "Not anymore," he replied, sliding a map across the desk. Boundaries all wrong. My name nowhere in sight. I left that office in a fog, didn't yell, didn't curse, just walked out with a stone in my chest. The next day, bulldozers ripped through the grove my father and I planted when I was just a boy. Those trees meant something. I tried kindness, believe it or not, brought the workers lemonade, asked them to listen, to slow down. Only one of them, young guy, nervous eyes, leaned in and whispered the truth. "They think you're weak," he said. "They think you'll just give up." That cut deep, not because it was wrong, but because it was right. I'd always chosen patience. But patience, if you push it too far, turns into something else. So I tried one last time to get through, letters to the HOA, calls to City Hall, every avenue I could find. No one answered. The houses went up, 20, 40, 70, until my valley was unrecognizable. Willow disappeared for hours once, terrified by the chaos. When I finally found her, shivering under a trailer, I sat down and cried, not for me, but for everything I was losing. That's when I knew kindness wasn't going to cut it. So I started watching. And here's where the twist creeps in. Turns out, the HOA built those homes in the absolute lowest spot, right below my dam. Either they didn't know it was there, or they didn't care. So I started planning. Not revenge, not exactly. Just consequences. But before I could do anything, things got out of hand fast. One midnight, red and blue lights lit up my cabin. Cops banging on the door, Willow barking, rain coming down so hard it felt like the world was ending. The HOA claims you're trespassing, sir. That's what they said, as if I was the outsider. I almost laughed. This land's been in my family longer than your HOAs existed, I told them, but the older cop just said, "You can explain that downtown." I let them take me. No sense fighting. Willow howled as they pulled away. "At the station, mister." Granger strutted in, suit so sharp it could cut glass. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he said, all fake friendly. "Give me my land back." I told him. "It's not your land. Not anymore. We have paperwork." "Paperwork you forged," I said, and for a split second, I saw fear flash across his face. "You can't win, Tom. Just stop trying." That was it. I'd been patient, been kind, and now he was betting on me giving up. He had no idea what I was capable of. They let me go after an hour, no charges, just a warning not to make trouble. Walking home in the dark, rain stinging, I knew something in me had changed. I packed a bag, tools, gloves, my father's flashlight, and headed up to the dam at first light, Willow by my side. From the top, I could see the whole valley. Kids playing on lawns that used to be wildflower fields, HOA officers strutting with clipboards. I remembered my mother's words. Kindness is strength, forgiveness is wisdom. But sometimes kindness means standing your ground. And that's when the storm broke. Not just rain, but chaos. Down below, workers gathered around a fallen beam, must have come loose from one of the unfinished houses. The crash was so loud it echoed off the hills. Panic exploded. People ran, slipped in the mud, shouted at each other. I stayed hidden and watching. My hand found the wheel. The water behind the dam was waiting. So was I. Then something else. A house close to the dam, foundation crumbling under all the heavy machinery and rain. I could see the cracks. It wouldn't take much. My heart raced, adrenaline building, but I kept breathing. I wasn't here to destroy. I was here to teach. But when I saw that little girl, maybe 6 or 7, clutching her mother as the water crept closer, I knew I had to be careful. No innocent people would pay for the HOA's greed if I could help it. As the rain pounded harder, a flash of lightning split the sky and the beam finally slid free, barely missing the mother and child. Willow barked at my side. I looked at the dam, at the wheel, at the homes below. For the first time, I realized the water was moving on its own. I hadn't even turned the wheel yet. People were scrambling, screaming, cars skidding on the wet asphalt. Chaos everywhere. The HOA officers were useless, shouting orders no one followed. Then, through the mess, I spotted that young worker, the one who'd warned me months back. He caught my eye and I nodded. He got it. He knew what patience looked like, what restraint meant. Then the real storm hit. Lightning struck the top of the dam. No joke. The concrete shuddered under my boots. For a second, I thought the whole thing would give. Water surged through the crack, pouring down in thick muddy waves. The first row of homes went under. Kids screamed. Parents shouted. Cars floated off like toys. Granger lost his mind, fell in the mud, suit ruined, umbrella gone, face twisted in pure panic. No more king of the world. Just a scared man, running for his life like everyone else. But even then, in the thick of the disaster, there were sparks of courage. The young worker pulled an old couple to safety. Neighbors grabbed strangers, pulled them from the current. Willow never left my side, barking, alert, guarding me like she understood this was bigger than either of us. The flood kept coming, homes buckled, foundations cracked, debris and cars and fences carried downstream. The roar of the water drowned out every voice. Yet somehow, people found each other, helped each other, risking their own necks for someone else. Even Granger, face smeared with mud, tried to help. A mother and her child, climbing to higher ground. Every act of kindness stood out against the chaos, small lights in a storm. That was the lesson, the only one left after all the letters, the calls, the polite requests ignored. You can't build a community on arrogance and expect it to last. You can't steal land, trample old trees, and call it progress. Nature, patience, and a stubborn old man might have the last word. When the rain finally eased and the water started to drop, I let myself breathe. My hands were raw from the wheel, my muscles aching, but I'd held back just enough. The flood scarred the valley, sure, but people survived, and a few even learned something. I looked out over the wreckage, Willow pressed against my leg, and wondered who would remember. Who would change? So tell me, where do you stand on all this? Was I wrong to take it this far? Or is there a time when kindness, patience, and warning shots just aren't enough? I want to hear your story, your take. What would you have done, standing on that dam, knowing the world below had stopped listening until the water started talking back? Drop a comment, share your thoughts, because maybe the next lesson is one we learn together.